Drake was instrumental in leading the Canadian invasion of the American music industry. The former child actor first released a mixtape in 2007. He worked as an independent artist for a while before signing to Young Money Entertainment in 2009. His debut album, Thank Me Later, became a #1 album on the Billboard 200. His next 2 albums also went to #1, and today Drake is considered one of the most successful hip-hop artists of all time. His 4th 2016 album also didn't disappoint. It spent 13 weeks in total at #1, making it the first album by a male solo artist to do so in over a decade. Drake has sold over 170 million records worldwide. His music continues to top the digital charts for the most downloads and streams. He has been nominated for a staggering 44 Grammys and has won 4, as well as 6 American Music Awards and a record 27 Billboard Music Awards. He has the most top 10 hits on the Billboard Hot 100, an accolade he shares with Madonna, who has been around decades longer. 209 of his songs have charted on Billboard, giving him the most charted songs of any artist in the history of the Billboard Hot 100. Drake has dominated the charts from the get-go. At one point, he had 27 songs charted on Billboards simultaneously, the most of any other artist, and his songs have spent up to 441 weeks in the charts. But while Drake was being bar mitzvahed, there was another artist dominating the music scene. British singer and MC Craig David was born in Southampton, England. Like Drake, he is also biracial and has Jewish heritage. His mother is Anglo-Jewish and his father is from Grenada. Drake was 13 when Craig David was blowing up the British charts and successfully crossing over into America. Craig is a songwriter, rapper, DJ and producer. He first came on the scene doing guest vocals for the UK garage act Artful Dodger. Speaking of the collaboration, Craig said, "We had this connection. I was writing songs, but I hadn't got any music. They were writing music, but they had no top-line melodies." His debut solo album, Born to Do It, was released in 2000. The album was produced by Craig and the Artful Dodger's Mark Hill. Born to Do It showcased UK garage music, which consists of a 2-step electro beat, as well as R&B and hip-hop influences. His songs did not rely solely on electro-synthetic sounds though. There was also the strong presence of smooth instrumentals, with the use of acoustic guitar and bass. Many of his songs told stories revolving around romance and relationships. Storytelling is a quality missing in some of today's music. The album was met with positive reviews from music critics. MTV listed it as one of the greatest albums ever. Born to Do It soared to #1 and eventually went 6 times platinum. It sold over 1,860,000 units in the UK alone, before achieving major success in the US, selling over 1 million copies. The album went platinum in 20 different countries and sold over 8 million worldwide. Successful singles from the album included Fill Me In and 7 Days. Fill Me In stayed in the UK top 40 for 10 weeks, which was the longest running single at the time. The single had a delayed release in the US until the late spring of 2001, and an American-friendly music video was created for the track. A year after being released in the UK, it reached the Billboard Hot 100 at number 28. Peaking at 15, it stayed in the US top 40 for 23 weeks. The song was also named in Radio 1's Top 100 Songs of the Decade. Craig David received awards for Best R&B Act and Best UK and Ireland Act in the 2001 MTV Europe Music Awards, as well as 3 MOBO Music of Black Origin Awards. His second album, Slicker Than Your Average, went platinum in the UK and Australia and gold in the US. It sold 3.5 million copies worldwide. The album leaned more towards R&B in order to appeal to a worldwide market. It included the hit Rise and Fall, a collaboration with Sting. He wrote the album following the September the 11th attacks in New York City in 2001. He wrote the song World Filled with Love. Speaking of the song, he said, I was thinking, I'm actually in this world that's filled with madness, with this drama going on. Some of the things we were talking about in the music, in the big picture, are so trivial. I thought music is a form of escapism, so I used it to write a song, hopefully for positive means to say, we are in a world that's filled with love. The album received mixed reviews. It's understandable that he would want to target the American market again and produce music that competed with mainstream hip-hop and R&B. But he was successful in cracking the market the first time around, with his garage style and authentic UK sound. That did help distinguish him from other artists in the first place. BBC Music's Keisha Davis said, "Slicker Than Your Average provides the listener with the opportunity to get into the mind of a truly gifted young star. There are enough club-friendly tracks to ensure heavy rotation in the hottest night spots." However, in reference to his success in the United States, she said, "True fans may be a tad bit disappointed by the new super slick musical direction." Blender magazine gave the album a rating of 4 out of 5, saying, "David moves away from underground two-step towards a modern mainstream R&B record. Slicker is full of Timbaland-style production, booty-call ballads and even Spanish guitars." The Guardian nailed it, saying, "The second album has its flaws, but they are largely generic. When it tries to fit too snugly into the R&B template, it tails off." At its best, however, it is a curiously unique record. Craig David went on to release a further 5 studio albums and sell over 15 million records worldwide. The early 2000s, with his first 2 albums, was the height of his career. At the time, a young Drake became heavily influenced by Craig David. He saw an artist blowing up the charts who looked like him. He saw an artist making waves in America who was an outsider and different artistically from many of the American artists at the time.
It's something I'm very taken aback by, because I used to be so self-conscious about the strikes against me, like, coming from Canada and being on a TV show and being like, super light-skinned, there's just some mad, like, there's just things you just be like, oh, is this gonna work? But now it gives me a chance to really accept that I am something different, I am something new, and now it's just I see it more as an opportunity to really be like, well, maybe I don't have to be the next Ye, or I don't have to be the next Wayne, I could just be the first Drake.
No doubt Drake was inspired by Craig David. Craig went on to receive 2 Grammy nominations in a category of Best Male Vocal Performance for Fill Me In and 7 Days. The UK has always had a wide range of musical influences from all over the world: dancehall, reggae, ragga, garage, trip-hop, jungle, bhangra, you name it. Hence the birth of many MCs across a wide range of genres. MCing was a style of rapping quite unique to the UK music scene.
Yo, Martin, well, them must spin them like a windmill. You talk for them, go to them, and we got the skill.
People would chat over a track, talking over the beat and telling a story that hyped up the crowd. Craig David combined this style of rapping with R&B. Not only was he a talented singer, he was also a lyricist, full of skills, who could freestyle impressively. Craig's dad, George, played bass in a reggae band and gave him guitar lessons at the age of 11. He would often accompany his father to local clubs where DJs would let him take the mic. Within 2 years, he was writing his own songs, and by 14, he was already MCing in clubs and on small radio stations. Craig David was one of the few singers on the scene in the early 2000s. His music style influenced Drake, who is now known for rapping, but also occasionally singing, combining the two. He doesn't have the same vocal ability as Craig David, and heavily relies on auto-tune, as do most rappers. So, did Drake end Craig David's career? Continue watching to see how a more sinister reason may have derailed his career success. Craig David and Drake weren't really in competition with each other. Craig was on his 4th album or so by the time Drake came on the scene. He is 5 years older than Drake and was ahead of him, essentially paving the way. 5 years is a lifetime within the music industry. One major setback for Craig was something that probably wouldn't be acceptable today: a British TV comedy sketch show called Bo Selector, which references Craig's first hit, made Craig into a caricature. The show had a cult following. Mel B from the Spice Girls was also heavily depicted on the show. The show poked fun at Craig's personality and nice guy persona and generally depicted him as being uncool. The comedian behind the show, Leigh Francis, wore a latex head with exaggerated features such as a big chin and giant nose. This sort of thing would probably be shut down today in the age of social media. Depicting a mixed race person in this way has serious racial connotations. It's basically today's version of blackface. Soon after Bo Selector, Craig's image suffered. He went from having a swag to being considered cringeworthy. It has also been suggested in news reports that Craig's dip in popularity in the mid-2000s came from the popularity of the show and the character depicted. His next album was a selection of Motown covers, which wasn't well received by critics and was considered basically a karaoke album. I'd gone from making one of the biggest garage tunes ever to this. It was so far from where I wanted to be going. I realised that I wasn't grounded. I was losing touch, he said. An album of covers was ill-advised for an artist of his calibre. It's the sort of album an artist releases on their way out. Kind of like when someone releases a greatest hits album. An artist typically does that when their best years are behind them. And just a year before this, Drake came on the scene with his debut, which broke records. So the album was not on par with his competition at all. He changed record companies too, so that may have had something to do with it. Craig left the UK for a few years and moved to Miami, Florida, where he led a lavish lifestyle, hosting pool parties at his luxury penthouse apartment. He was heavily involved in the club scene too, and tried to get back in touch with the current music scene, paying attention to what was popular at the time.
I think a lot of people out there might have thought, did you move here sort of, you know, in exile to kind of get away from the UK? But I think anyone watching this will see you've set up the most beautiful life for yourself here.
Even though I'm here in Miami, the UK still feels like home. But I do feel a form of escapism coming out here because there's a bit more freedom for me to just venture in Miami. And I think that is refreshing. In the UK, sometimes people are fascinated by someone's downfall. That's why I think here they do celebrate success. So you can roll in that Ferrari and be cool with it. But in the UK, you have to play things down because you just get slammed for it, you know?
But do you think the press has, you know, made you out to, that you've had a sort of a career downfall? Do you think that's how the press perceive you in the UK?
The first album had done like 7 million albums, which was phenomenal. The second album did 3.5 million records, which is a mad amount of records, still crazy amount of records, but it was like, ooh, it's like on the down, we're going like, 3.5 million, it's not really going so good for you. I'm thinking, you can't really win here, sort of. It's like, it's already started, you know? The time with Leigh Francis and the whole Bo Selector thing as well, it didn't help things because I embraced the joke at first. And then after a while, it just became really tiring. From something that was so important to me, being part of a movement with that UK garage scene, to then have this show which was completely undermining everything that I'd put into making a song that was relevant and what it was all about and the culture of UK music into this joke. And then to have a character in it that kind of continued on and on. I thought, you're not letting this go. You're really almost living off of the success that I'd created and just slowly but trying to let me just like, oh, going to America, album's not selling so well, let's highlight that, let's keep on going, keep on. I'm like, bro, relax.
Craig confirmed Leigh Francis has since apologised for the impact his skits had on him, and the two have since patched things up. He said, at the end of the day, I haven't got it inside of me to hold on to anything, how people may want me to feel. And he even said, you know what, sorry man, I didn't know it was going to be like that. I was like, you know what, listen, it is what it is. Leigh issued a public apology after being called out by a black UK talk show host, Trisha Goddard, for his depiction of black celebrities on his show.
Hi, my name's Leigh Francis. I play a character called Keith Lemon on television. It's been a weird few days. I've sat and thought about things and what I could post to try and help things. Back in 2002, I did a show called Bo Selector, I portrayed many black people. Back then I didn't think anything about it. People didn't say anything, and I'm not gonna blame other people. I'll just keep it on. Well, I've been talking to some people and I didn't realise how offensive it was back then. And I just want to apologise. I just want to say sorry for any upset I caused. Whether I was Michael Jackson, Craig David, Trisha Goddard, all people that I'm a big fan of. And I guess we're all on a learning journey.
In the current climate, a lot of people are now coming forward and calling out things that they have seen, past and present, that need to be addressed. Many do a double take when they see Craig David or Drake. Their lives seem paradoxical, to the point where many younger fans have mistaken Craig David for Drake. At times, Drake has emulated David's fashion sense, and there's no denying they have a similar aesthetic. Musically, they have both incorporated some sort of dance music into their sound and have produced club anthems. Craig is an accomplished songwriter though, a skill that has been evident from when he was a teenager. He started making waves in the industry after winning a national songwriting contest. He wrote a song called I'm Ready for a UK R&B boy band called Damage in 1997 when he was just 16. He also wrote Let's Kick Racism Out of Football for Southampton FC, a team he has supported from when he was a kid. Craig is a 3-time Ivor Novello Award winner, a prestigious accolade awarded to songwriters. Other winners include Amy Winehouse, Adele and Mariah Carey. In contrast, Drake has faced criticism from hip-hop fans for allegedly not writing his own rhymes, but Drake has no doubt had more commercial success. Worldwide, he has sustained his name in the industry for over a decade now. Way back in 2007, Drake gave Craig a shout-out on the song Closer and admitted to being influenced by him, as well as some other British artists. He even alluded to having a desire to work with him a few years ago. They have a mutual respect for each other.
I'm feeling very proud right now. Very, very proud. I love that, Craig. You know what? One of the reasons why we picked that rhythm is because Drake cites you as an influence and an inspiration. How do you feel about that? Do you feel an internal pride? Because the UK never used to get that kind of recognition, and now you've taken us international, bro.
Yeah, you know what? Listen, there's so much love and respect. I mean, I remember him from the mixtapes back in the day, and he was shouting out myself, Shola Ama, Artful Dodger. I mean, he's been showing love from way back for the UK. So to kind of, again, to get a little nod, and I mean, the man's like one of the biggest hip hop artists that we've seen.
So right, you heard it first. The Craig David Drake collabo. When's it coming out?
You know what? Do you know what? Listen, if the time came, it would be wicked. Trust me.
Craig spoke about how they bumped into each other in a restaurant and talked about working together, and they gave each other their props. And Craig was like, "Ah man, Hotline Bling," and Drake was like, "Ah man, Born to Do It." No doubt it will be a great collaboration, and you may have to check that you're not seeing double. So he may not have ended Craig David's career, but he was certainly influenced by him. Probably jacked his style a little too. Is Drake the American Craig David? No shade to Drake, but there is only one Craig David. Thanks for watching. Share your thoughts below, like and subscribe for weekly videos, and don't forget to click the bell for more.